actually wondering back there if they'd replenish the chocolate.
The hot rod guys had eaten all the chocolate. I was going to be in trouble, but it's okay.
Hello. Thank you. God, there's a lot of you. So we're going to show you a clip from Stardust. That's the first thing we're going to do, and it's quite a long one. And we've got more chocolates. We will eat chocolates during it. And I thought we would set this up for you, what's happening at the point in the film where you come in. Jane.
I was so scared you were going to do that, and now my nightmare has come true. This clip we're setting up now, we find Lamia, the witch, who is one of the many people seeking the star, has set a trap for the fallen star. Do we need to say more than that, Neil?
Yeah, all right, let's just do for those of you who have absolutely no idea what we're talking about, there is a film that is going to be coming out on August the 10th called Stardust, and it's about a young man who goes off in search of a fallen star, and when he finds it, it's not exactly what he was expecting. It's a young lady with a broken leg in a foul mood, who he tries to drag off to present to his girlfriend. She has escaped from him on riding a unicorn. There are several people looking for her for various reasons, including some princes who are after the necklace that she's got. Some of these princes are dead.
Are you following this?
And we have a witch who has decided to set a trap for the star. And that's where we begin. So, Beowulf.
Is this weird for you to exit and then return?
Yes, it is. I think probably would have been weird, but it might have been weirder if I'd stayed here the whole time and Jane had just been replaced by you.
Yeah.
Especially if I was looking away at the time when I looked over.
It's a resurrection moment, yeah.
So last night we showed some 20 minutes of Beowulf footage to the world for the first time.
And actually, tonight, we'll be showing again at 5 and 6 p.m. at the UA Horton Plaza.
So if anybody wants to get down there, you probably won't be able to get in, but you could try.
It's in 3D, and
it's really cool.
It's really cool. You'll feel like you're coming down off of an acid trip after you watch it. It's absolutely wonderful.
What is it? Soon we're going to show you a 2D trailer. This is going to be the world premiere of the 2D trailer on a great big screen. It went out late last night on the internet, on things that you can watch that are like that big. But we wish that we had the technical facility in here to do it in 3D and to put 10,000 pairs of glasses on the seats, but apparently it can't be done, and we're sorry about that. Beowulf is the oldest story that we have in the English language.
And we're trying to tell it with the most modern technology available today.
And it's all about the story. It began when we were talking earlier about Sandman movies. It began when Roger was briefly hired in about 1996 to direct a Sandman movie by Warner Brothers. And then he went in and told them what he planned to do.
It involved Jan Spankmeyer and puppets, and I was describing it, and next thing I know, I was ushered out the room.
And off the lot. And that was the end of Roger's experience on Sandman.
So I went home and I'm sitting around thinking, what am I going to do with my life now? I just spent, a year working on the material for Sandman. I started going over my old Beowulf notes that I'd been working on for, since like 1981. And Neil calls me up on the phone and says,
And I asked what he was doing, and he told me he wanted to do Beowulf, but he couldn't figure out how you got from Act 2 to Act 3.
Beowulf, if you haven't read it, is a fractured epic. It has two very distinct halves. the spring of Beowulf's life when he's a young man, and then also when he's an old man. And I think one of the great difficulties in the material has always been, in a Hollywood movie, how does somebody unify those two halves?
And Roger told me what he planned to do in the first half, and I said, well, obviously, if you do that, then this is how you get to the second half. And there was a beat.
And it was like it's like I had been working on an equation, on a unified field theory, but I was missing a component. And then Neil called up and said, oh, but it's this. And it was like, oh my God, if it was a snake, it would have bit me. And so I said, let's go write it. You want to go write it? Are you available?
So we wrote it. And in Mexico, drinking cheap beer.
Which is the very best place if you need to write something that takes place in a very cold environment.
I kept saying, why aren't we in Iceland? And he'd say, drink more cheap beer. And I never actually found out why we hadn't gone to Iceland. But we wrote Beowulf, we tried to get it made, we came very close to getting it made, it fell apart. Time passed, Roger came very close again to getting it made and was just about to start making it when the phone call came in from Robert Zemeckis, who had been involved in producing the script the first time round, and Bob said that he had not been able to get our script out of his head and wanted to make it and wanted to do it with these digitally enhanced live performances. So
I respond to passion more than anything, and Robert is brimming with it. He's like a kid in a candy store, and when he started going through the technology and how it advanced and what we could really do, and basically when he said, you can do anything you want, with this. See, whatever you didn't think you would ever be able to do on film, just reach into your mind and go crazy. And when somebody comes to you and with that much passion and just says, go nuts, I respond like a berserker. I lift a sword and I go. And thankfully it was made, I think, to my great satisfaction. I
just have this vision of you as a berserker. It's like charging through the carpinteria offices of Beowulf with a large sword.
I look relatively clean cut now, but preparing for the movie, I had grown this like giant beard and my hair was really long because I wanted to get into the
sort of the mad Viking thing.
Yeah.
So we sat around a table in about March 2005 and did what I like to call the kind of, basically bullshit casting. You have all done it. You have sat there around a table or at a bar and said, so if you were going to cast so-and-so, who would you cast? And suddenly you're saying, well, obviously, Peter Sellers would have to play both parts or whatever, and you're doing that. So we did that with Beowulf. We're sitting there going, well, of course, Anthony Hopkins needs to be King Hrothgar, and then I remember John Malkovich would be Unferth, the creepy one, and then Roger said...
I had always wanted Crispin Glover because...
Exactly, he wanted Crispin Glover as Grendel.
And we had actually always spoken of Angelina Jolie, and amazingly, cut to 10 years later when we're actually sitting in the room casting the movie.
And what's really weird is this is our bullshit casting.
Yeah.
Everybody said yes. Nobody said no. So they returned.
We literally, at that moment, felt, oh my God, we're walking in blessed shoes at this moment. It was like the stars came into alignment.
It was. Now it's going to be released in 3D, in 2D, in 3D, in something called Real D, IMAX 3D, and Dolby Digital 3D, all on November the 16th, which means it will be the widest ever 3D release. It also means that you will be able to go into some cinemas, what you Americans call movie theaters, and you will actually have the option of going to see the IMAX version, the Real D version, or the flat screen version, the old-fashioned way.
The blow your mind version, the kind of really intensely blow your mind version, and then your head explodes version. Well, there's 3 versions. It's gonna be in a variety of formats.
Once your head has exploded, you will, like a berserker, charge with your sword through the cinema, scattering ice creams and popcorn. Do we have time for any questions, or are we straight on to the...